As usual, another great guest, but a quick diversion. You'll notice that our full name is the Marketplace for Health, Wealth, and Freedom. Well, let's talk about your health for a moment. If you'd like to escape from the stranglehold of insurance and be able to see alternative doctors or go across state lines for care, then you definitely need to take a look at patientempowerment.mpb.health and see if that's the fix you've been looking for. Now, let's get back to the show.
Welcome, folks, to another Freedom Hub weekly meeting on healthcare, health, business, and politics. The old name is Cash Patients Free Markets. We'll figure out what the real name is eventually. It's been going on probably 4 years straight now with this new time since this year, noon on Wednesdays. And, the golf conversation, we'll probably go back to it because, today is become a bigger topic because of COVID. I think John will say that even before COVID, employers were scrambling to figure out what counseling benefits actually would help their employees. But in my write-up for today's events, I just Googled around for some catchy info and saw that poll that 2/3 of Americans are at their max on stress right now, and that was catchy. What is the significance of that? We'll figure it out with John. John's a vendor in our Forbes featured upgrade from insurance, switching folks out from insurance to sharing for major medical and giving them tax advantaged or actuarially advantaged accounts for the first dollar out of pocket and some freebies around telemedicine. And in John's case, LifeCare, which is a new thing for a lot of us agents. And the thing you'll learn from John is it's a whole bunch of benefits, but that's what he has had to do. Just as our brokerage has had to beef up our concierge to help patients be cash shoppers, you learn by doing. And that's one thing we've learned in the cash empowering space is that we've got to have a beefy back office to help our patients do their job. And John has had to beef up his counseling portfolio to really show effectiveness and meet the patients and the families and the workers where they are, whether it's taking care of elderly people in your home or, figuring out your life plan or how to be an executive, or just your traditional stress and need for counseling. It's really amazing. And it's amazingly important for agents if you want to compete with payers, whether they're families on their own or businesses. Jim, do you want to offer any quick comments on, your thing around stress before we move it to John?
Stress, what stress? Actually, I was just talking to my neighbors last night. New family, just had a baby. $2,800 a month for insurance.
I muted you by accident, Jim. Admitting someone, unmute yourself. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, there we are. Sorry. Okay. No, I was talking about my neighbors, young family. He was telling me, because I was talking about copay, co-sharing, better plans. He is with an employer, but still, he said, my insurance is $2,800 a month. And they were paying $700 in a copay for ultrasounds during the pregnancy. Not to mention that the ultrasound people said, come in every week practically. And then he realized I'm getting ripped off because most people go, during a pregnancy, maybe 3 times, 4 times. So it was an interesting talk, but yeah, we definitely need to break out of this conventional mold insurance and everyone, we're getting ripped off and not being taken care of. Yeah, actually, I'm looking forward to hearing what you're doing, John, on counseling or what's coming up, because even my clients, it's a mess. People are really stressed out and having a hard time. So thank you.
And John, you're up.
Well, again, thank you everyone for having me here today. And I hope this is more of a discussion than an actual presentation. I'd love to pick your brains and, if you will, and understand what challenges you're seeing out there, but also describe the real value that we bring to the table, specifically with MPB Health. And Charles, again, thank you for this opportunity. You've been a big supporter and you understand the need that's out there. I've been with Mazzitti and Sullivan for over 8 years. In my current role as National Director of Marketing, we have grown exponentially in the last 3 years from covering just under 300,000 lives to currently just under 1 million lives. I can tell you, and going back to what Charles said earlier, stress has always been there. Stress has always been in our lives. It isn't just from a pandemic that created it. It has always been in our lives to some degree. It just come more to the forefront by all the different factors that are out there. And if you will, like in the form of radio, how we've turned the volume up and it's more noticeable, right? I personally am not going to get even into all of the things that have been contributing on a specific level, but they're there and they've been heightened. So it's always been about how we handle stress, not removing it from our lives. I have yet to meet someone who walks on this earth that says they've removed it all entirely from their lives. If you're on this call, let's have a chat. I'd love to figure that out. I am a survivor of burnout, and I need to start off by saying this. So I do not walk on water, although I believe in the one who does. I do not walk on water. I'm not perfect. I continue to make mistakes in business and life. I was very committed in my previous career for 20 years and burned out. I'm a workaholic by nature. I'm very driven. You can see some of those things behind me, some awards, whatever, trophies. They are what they are, but I'm a very driven person and I never learned how to stop, process, and take care of myself. And as a high achiever in business and in life, no one told me what would happen if I did not invest in my own self-care. Self-care is not selfish. So that's where I'll be speaking to you from today. I am not a clinician. I don't have my master's degree or PhD in counseling or anything in psychology. I have gone that road of burning out severely, and I represent a very robust EAP provider that offers nationwide EAP services and in the form of member assistance program with MPB Health. So I don't know of another plan out there like MPB Health offers to each individual member. You can get a big box solution at an individual price, and that's just not out there on that level of an individual, and it's a great honor, and I'm very proud to be working with our friends and partners at MPB Health. Charles, would you like me to, anything specifically you'd like me to go at this time? I could actually talk for several hours, and I doubt all of you would really want that time. So I'd like to streamline it. Are you okay if I give you some statistics and then we'll take it from there?
Sure.
So some things that I've seen, I am in demand right now. And I say that humbly, not being arrogant when I say that. I've already exceeded the number of presentations I wanted to do for this year in 2022, and the requests are still coming in without any marketing. Mental health is real. Those challenges are out there. So I'd like to ask everyone out there, what are you doing individually and for your clients to make sure they're getting the best plan? I can give you some of the data in the world of, I just spoke with a very large consortium of school districts last week. 18 different school districts were represented in this meeting. And just like I said to them, RAND did a poll out there, and 33% of teachers have admitted being depressed. Now, I can tell you whenever you take mental health statistics, those numbers aren't accurate. And the reason they're not accurate is this: there is so much stigma still attached, you're going to get a conservative number. You're always going to have people that won't be transparent and share what's really going on. So I can guarantee you, whatever numbers you see when it comes to mental health, those numbers are actually much higher than what's actually being represented. So at the very least, we know that 1/3 of the teachers that are out there are being depressed, yet they're still functioning, serving as that caregiver, as you will, to students across this country. 86% of high school principals, those principals at the high school level that are managing, 86% admitted that they are managing unmanageable stress right now. And the number one contributor is the fact of the stress they're trying to help solve for their teachers in that district. So I can tell you it is real. And these individuals are the same ones who are investing into our younger generations, trying to provide education and resources. So that gets seen in many different ways. We currently provide services to over 200 school districts, and we are regularly getting calls from teachers, administrators who don't know what to do. And the bottom line is, Charles, they have had a plan that wasn't working. Let's just call it what it is. A lot of EAPs out there are built to not be used. They're hidden. They're hidden in some plan, and they're counting on the fact that you're not going to use those services. So we are not built that way. In Mazzitti and Sullivan EAP, nobody is commission structured. I'm not getting a commission off of anything with MPB or any of our partners. So that's important to understand when you're looking at EAPs that are out there, or you hear language from EAP providers. What are they actually meaning when they use the same words? And I need to explain those words, and then I'll get back to you, Charles. We all use the same terminologies in mental health when it comes to EAP services or MAP services, like with MPB Health. What is a session? Some providers might give you 30 minutes to 40 minutes. We're talking about an hour-long session. Who is that person with? Some of these individuals and some of our competitors out there, it might be a person that's licensed off the internet. I guess my next question is, what does that mean? We are talking about at MPB Health, we're talking about master degree clinicians who've been vetted for 5 years of successful experience and a track record in their area of specialty. So that's so important to understand when you're talking, let's just call it what it is. This is mental health services. I'm very fussy with my vehicle, and I'm not just going to take my car to just anybody who works on a car. But yet we do that same thing when it comes to mental health, or we don't go in for the regularly scheduled maintenance that we should have when it comes to our own well-being and mental health. So I'll pause there, Charles, in case there's any questions or discussions on those things.
Sure, John. And that sets the stage with the context. In chat, I put the link for our health plan, which really is for any business with less than 50 employees or individuals. We have some advisors on this call who handle the larger self-funded plans. George, welcome. So I showed on my screen the LIFECARE section of our plan at that link. Maybe if you want to share your screen, John, you could show what folks will see once they work with our concierge to get connected to you for help with their challenges. And it's not just when they're depressed, is it, John? It's when they're stuck. They're put, the Peter principle, you rise to your incompetence. I remember as a lobbyist when I was promoted to run a big team, and I was like, oh no, I shouldn't be running a big team. You find out what you're good at and what really you're not good at. And, I had help from HR and others before I was led by life to move on to a more appropriate position. But I guess to the coaching aspect for hard charging doers like yourself to make that challenging situation work. So what happens when they get connected to Mazzitti and Sullivan? Oh, there we go. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. And again, just not knowing who my audience is here, I think it's really important to understand who we're not as well as who we are. Just like going through business or life, failing sometimes is a big part of our success story, right? Sometimes we have to realize what doesn't work. And what data is out there is very clear. Those embedded plans typically do not work. And what I mean by that is this. The average utilization of an embedded plan nationwide is about 1%. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, an embedded plan, it's something that's included as a part of a life insurance policy, maybe something like that. That's a typical embedded plan where many times people don't even know that it's included as a benefit. Now, what's very interesting to note, and I'll speak specifically to the utilization for MPB Health and to the strength of their team, our current utilization to date with MPB Health is about 28%. It does change by the month, but to date, that's about 28%. So think about that. Would you want to go with something that's 28 times the national average, or will you be okay with just going something that's free and included in a part of a plan, or something that you don't even understand or know that it's there? The also difference is the value that you get. I don't know about everybody on this call, but when things go sideways for me, and I'm not talking even about mental health, I'm talking about something as basic as my Kubota tractor that's not working. I am not a mechanic. I'm not Mr. Goodwrench. I'm Captain Destruction a lot of times, and I want to talk to a qualified person who's an expert. It does me great service and, quite frankly, wisdom in picking up the phone, talking to a live person and saying, my Kubota tractor won't turn off. What are my options? What should I do? That was a real world thing that happened to me last week. I did that. When it comes to your brain, when it comes to mental health, a lot of providers out there in the world of EAP, you will never talk to a live person. They will steer you towards technology because, again, let's call it what it is. That's a lot cheaper. Getting the opportunity to talk to a master's level clinician, talking with a life coach, that's the expensive part. But here's the other piece. That's the part that's most successful. So that's why you're always going to get a live person. And if you go to that page that you get, that's a part of your work and life balance and the tools and resources that are there with MPB, there's 20,000 other resources there, but there's also a live chat window, which may not even be represented here. Actually, you'll see it halfway down on this comparison chart. That chat is actually a live person. It's not a bot. So in every possible touch point, you're always going to get a live person because we understand the difference that makes. During COVID, my competitors were moving away from brick and mortar locations, and we doubled down. We doubled down so that every person who's a member of MPB Health and those services, they get to choose. I don't know what's best for you, Charles or Jim. I'm not going to make that assumption that you prefer talking to or having a virtual life coach or talking to a virtual elder coach about your aging loved ones, or a financial wellness coach. Maybe you do want to go and meet them face to face. We have found with our clients that a lot of times that's the only way they want to go, because they don't want to have their loved one hear them across or through the wall. They don't want to have their employer or fellow employees hear what they want to talk about in their office. And they definitely don't want to be seen as that person outside in the parking lot, maybe having a meltdown because they're dealing with those things with that life coach. They really don't want to go with a virtual platform. So the choice is theirs in every location. And that's why we're now in every state in Canada and Mexico to provide those services so that everybody can make that choice for themselves with that live support on any format. So again, I don't know if I should go over all these services, but it's very important to know these are not like a typical embedded plan. This member program is incredibly robust, and the ability to have a renewable session. And I know, Charles, you spoke of 12 sessions, and I'd like to explain that. In the world of EAP, in the world of mental health, it can be very easy, and when a person is hurting, to get a unhealthy attachment with your life coach. Okay, we can establish a bond. There can be a friendship, if you will, with that coach. That's not necessarily healthy. It's great to have that connection, but there can be a line that can be crossed where it's actually going to hinder your process in continuing to improve. Plus, there's also a time where you should really put into practice, and a lot of people need time. We're talking about not just major things. This isn't a service that should just be handled when a person's burned out severely like I was. If you're feeling stressed and you're a part of MPB, call us. Don't wait for it to go sideways, right? So it goes a long way in taking a break. That's why the 4-12 model is in place for every subscriber and every dependent. So once you've used your 4th session, as long as there's a 2-month break, those sessions will renew. And that 2-month time is a great window of opportunity to put into practice those 4 hours have provided you and be better for yourself. And then you can revisit them. You get 4 more sessions. And if you follow that model, it's up to 12 in a year's time. So if you have a household of a subscriber and dependents, that's 5 people, you're looking at potentially 60 hours of counseling. That is an unbelievable amount of value provided through MPB. And let's call it what it is. It's talking to a mastered degree clinician that's been vetted. It's very different, and it is not a typical service with a lot of EAP providers that are out there. Charles, I'll have a break here. Is any questions or comments so far?
Can you show your website directly at Mazzitti and Sullivan? So that, we have some pretty high level advisors on this call, like George. What will he find if he goes direct to Mazzitti and Sullivan and looks for you in sort of a first site to look at, if that's easy enough for you to show?
Sure, I'll do that.
While you're
Another-
doing that, I was just going to say, John, with it is pretty stressful teaching critical race theory. So I understand the problem teachers are having these days.
I'll also mention, I'll type in chat, we love your questions. Just click the raise hand icon that you'll find under the reactions tab around the Zoom controls.
So again, not knowing who all is on this call, I'll just take you all to our demo site because I want to be protective of that code that all the members would get, but conceptually you would understand the same thing. So for those that may be on here, I'll take you to our demo site. All of our partners get a specific code. There's one that's dedicated to MPB. But for those who are on here, feel free to at least go to our demo on your own as well. And the code you would use is MSEAP. This is just about identical to that which would be seen. And there are over 25,000 resources that are available. During the pandemic and even before, relationships have always been a challenge. And there's always been those challenging relationships to navigate and to move forward with. So simply by clicking on one of these tabs, you can get a lot of resources available. See if I can scroll down here. So there's lots of options to choose from, and looking at these, cultivating your family, for example, there are lots of things to open up and look into, to dig further, making the most of family moments. In this case, it's an article. You can read that information. It's there. As I referred to earlier, there is this live chat box on the side, and maybe you're going to the website or you're dealing with something in life, and as an MPB member, you're wondering, I don't really know why I'm here. I'm just not feeling right. I'm not feeling myself. That's a great opportunity to engage the live chat feature, talk to one of our staff. They can help navigate you through this work-life page and get you the resources that you need, or they can share from themselves the best paths to move forward, or if you need to set up a session. By no means are we trying to steer people away from counseling. Let me be clear. Each individual contact is being assessed and analyzed to see what's best for that person at that time. So whatever range that might be, our entire team is critical incident stress management certified, and they are capable, qualified, and caring to handle any life challenge that they encounter. So I just want to be clear about that. We can customize all of these tabs accordingly for all of our clients. In the case of MPB, we have arranged these in what has been most used by their individual members. So that's why you'll see COVID there. That's why you'll see the other areas of training center, relationships and financial, and those things in that order. That's what we're seeing, quite frankly, in about all of our groups and our clients across the country. And whether it's a video training, so for those who are on the call that deal with groups, one of the things that's very helpful is in the training center, HR teams are being overwhelmed with challenging behavioral issues with their employees. There's a lot of employees that are doing some things that they wouldn't normally do. We'll just word it that way, right? So, and they're reaching out to us saying, what can we do? This employee does not necessarily want to go to counseling, but what resources can we point them and steer them towards so that they can have a healthier well-being and return back to work? In many times, and I'll give you an example of a school district. A teacher was bringing conversations from home to the classroom that were not appropriate. totally distracting the class. We can get that, right? They would not go for counseling. They did not want to do that. In that case, we worked with that business manager. That school district did not have an HR person. So even though they had 300 employees, that business manager really wasn't qualified to handle a lot of these mental health things. So we worked right alongside her. We steered the teacher to take this work-life balance course at this tab. In that case, it was a work-life balance, balancing work and family. And this is the same thing that anyone with MPB can do. This teacher went to this location, filled out the specific information, took the class, and because they filled this form out, it printed out a document with their name on it, proving that they effectively completed that training. And in this situation, it was an understanding of a better understanding awareness. What was really going on, as well as work-life balance. So they really didn't need counseling, they just needed some awareness. And that solved the problem. They went into the business office, gave them the certificate, and that was that. The problem was resolved. Things aren't always that simple, but it's the illustration to understand that we can support those management teams through any type of challenging situation. So don't wait for things to go sideways. If there's a question, call us.
And the other two popular ones, financial counseling and COVID counseling, I think you mentioned those two other ones were popular.
Correct. So, and I'll just word it in the legal area, and this can be, there's some common issues there, but I would like to go down farther because I think this is where it's really manifested, and it's in the legal forms. I am absolutely blown away, and there's no way to describe it, Charles, the amount of individuals who do not have a will. They've chosen for whatever reason, maybe it's the thought of going to an attorney. It is a little scary, and nobody really enjoys paying that attorney's fee, right? So you can go to this website, click on for a will with children, for example. This is just going to ask you to download a Word document. And then when you open that Word document up, all you need to do is fill out those blank fields, take it to a notary public, and now for the price of a notary, you have a legal binding document and have a will for yourself and your children. That's one example. There's over 90 different legal documents there. So legal issues we've seen be on the rise. And oftentimes when it comes to people's stress, it was the straw that broke the camel's back, not necessarily a house that landed on top of the camel. So all these little stressors add up, and that's what we're really purposed and trying to do, is steer people towards these different resources to lower stress across the board.
Yeah, and Jim, I think John answered your comments about misbehaving teachers trying to politicize classrooms with inappropriate talk that's in the news. What about some of these other icons that aren't getting used as much? Why do you think that is?
Well, again, I think we are wired to be relational, right? We're not meant to be alone. So that's going to affect us whether it's business or life. That's why that's up there. Finances, we need money, at some point in time. Although money is a tool, it's how we manage it, just like stress. It's how we manage our resources. And a lot of people don't even have a budget in place. So but these tools do go hand in hand. You can have an assessment down here that can be a big part of how you're handling stress. You can also use one of these calculators, and I will show you one of these calculators just to give you an example. These are these items that pop up and populate first on your screen when you go to our website are the ones that are being most used by our clients nationwide. So more times than not, they're going to be top of mind for you. But there are a lot of different calculators that are here, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but some of the most popular ones are right here. And what I'm hearing a lot out there is accelerated debt payoff. And I know you've spoken to that at times, Charles, as well. I'm just going to give you an example of what that could look like. So just simply by putting in these numbers, filling out these fields,
Yeah, that's a popular one. We have a vendor, or actually a couple of vendors at Freedom Hub that are making some dough, helping folks reduce debts. And apparently more and more folks are getting into debt big debt where they really need help in this area.
Yeah, so when you're putting the information, you can see down below, you know, that, and sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. In this case, this website has over 25,000 resources. So I'm not even going to begin to speak or try to speak to the real power and the robust nature of tools that it can offer, but people need to be willing to take the time to go in and look for those things. They're all right there at their disposal.
Yeah, that would be an important offering, as well as probably that rent versus buy calculator with rates going up. And, you know, I have friends who are trying to buy houses and they're pretty crappy and overpriced right now. Linda, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, in a recent paper, they said they have examined 300,000 of patients, and they found out that the first reason of disease was not stress, no lack of sleep or bad food stuff and things like this, but loneliness, lack of socialization, lack of human contact. And you can imagine now with COVID and lockdown, how much that has affected the population in general. That's number one. If you have any point on that, I will find the paper and I try to send to you. The second is, yesterday, my son, 36 years old with autism, because he was upset with everything that happens, like, Mom, are we going to have a third world war and things like this, receive an email from a place called, in Baltimore City, University Psychological Center Recovery Network. Is on 25th West 25th Street in Baltimore. And also from Panda Docs. And my son is supposed to fill out many forms. So I said, George, wait, don't fill anything. We are going to visit this place. And immediately we went downtown Baltimore to visit. What is that? And first I said, why are you university? What type of university are you? They were not able to answer to me. And I said, okay, how you can help my son here? Like, they said, we have many psychiatrists and things like this. I said, okay, and how he's going to deal with them? Oh, no. Everything, all our services are telehealth, virtual, nothing in place. And please put your mask in your face better because it's not covering your nose 100% and things like this. So I said, okay, bye-bye. And I left. And on top of that, my son was searching for a work in a cafeteria in some place at the University of Maryland Hospital, where I used to work for years. And everything was fine. Saturday, he had to start the job. But when they asked him, are you vaccinated? He said no. He had the mask on him, but are you vaccinated? He said no. And then I said, no, we cannot hire you, finish. And then I said, George, go home and we are going to celebrate your freedom, not to be vaccinated, not to have a mask on you. Okay, your comments on that, especially for the issues of to be lonely and no human contact, no socialization as number one cause of disease. Waiting for your comments.
Yes, well, Charles, were you going to speak to that or should I?
Go ahead, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, ma'am, first of all, I'm very sorry you had to experience those engagements and those discussions. That can be stressful in and of itself, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. I am not an expert in politics or all of that, so I'm just going to keep my own personal views, although I am aligned with probably everybody on this call. I will say this, we are wired, and I will lead by saying this, and this is my own personal belief, so don't hold this as my company or whatever. I personally believe that we have been created to be relational people. We need each other. And I'll give you an example of this. Whether it's business or life, success doesn't happen by yourselves. There really is not a 100% original idea that I've ever been introduced to. There's always been fibers of that have been someone else's idea that got to your idea or my idea. We're made to be relational. So we need to interact and engage. So what you're saying, although I've never seen this document, I would agree with you that it is true. There are many studies out there that have shown the lack of human contact and the lack of human engagement can lead to many behavioral health challenges. I won't go through all of those. So I would just say that I would agree with that document, and I would encourage, because I'm a solutionist. I am not a clinician, but I provide solutions and mental health services that are solutions. So I would encourage everyone out there to find ways to engage with other people, regardless of what is out there. And there are appropriate ways. And again, I don't know where everybody is located and what the laws are of the land, wherever you might be on this planet, but there are still ways that you can engage people. And I would like to also submit this, ma'am. So both for myself, dealing with burnout about a decade ago, and for other people, we get to decide. We need to realize that regardless of the government, regardless of our employers, regardless of our spouse, regardless of put all those stresses that are out there, politics, whatever, and I'm specifically speaking, and I mean this in the most gentle way, ma'am, it's so important that we all understand we get to choose. We get to choose a victim or a victor mindset every single day when we wake up. There are powers out there that want us to choose the victim mindset, and those lead to a whole host of challenging further additional problems. The victim mindset, and I'll speak to myself so no one feels that I'm attacking them. I chose for too long to stay at the victim mindset. It made my mental health worse. I was not getting better as an individual. My health declined. I was spending almost like frequent flyer trips to the doctor's office because it led to one physical ailment after the other, because my mind was not right and I was choosing to be the victim in any disruptive event. And there are many studies out there. I encourage everyone to go to Dr. Al Seibert, S-I-E-B-E-R-T. He was the founder of the Resiliency Center, and he spent 25 years analyzing and studying people who were lost at sea and survived, prisoners of war, and the list goes on of people who were in highly traumatic life experiences. And he found that those who chose the victor mindset were healthier, happier individuals and more successful, not just at staying alive, but they actually thrived despite their circumstances. So, ma'am, again, I am so sorry you had to go through those things, but at the end of the day, I would encourage choosing that mindset over those things. And I want to celebrate with you how you did that. You went home and you celebrated freedom and liberty. Every day,
Thank you.
every day we get to choose, and thank you for choosing wisely there. That's an excellent example, and I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that was a powerful answer, John. Yeah, I I wear my politics on my sleeve almost in effect just because of we all confront that decision as a victor. You don't want to alienate your audience, yet for a variety of reasons, some of us, like myself included, I'm trying to make money while I also change the world. That's kind of part of conscious capitalism, which I helped found with John Mackey at Whole Foods back in the 2000s, working for good. But even there, the politics is toned down, and the work part is emphasized. Just find your path and make money doing good. And I'll put in chat the link for tomorrow's weekly webinar our broader webinar is Thursdays: liberty, entrepreneurship, rolling back the regulatory capture in our bureaucracies. The Wednesday is health innovation, because this is a seventh of the economy. It's a cartel, and so many entrepreneurs are engaged in fixing it, including you, John, and including George, who has his hand up. Well, I consider myself the solution for small groups and individuals. George has been a regular, and he and Carl Schuessler, Fair Market Cost Health Plan, he'll fix the name, are really the leaders, among other Rosetta advisors, using direct contracting to fix the self-funded market. And they're doing such important work to get those prices, get that competition going, helping the underserved providers get more business. George, go ahead.
Thanks, Charles. Hi, John. I see we're connected on LinkedIn already. That's great. Listen, I have a question for you. I think one of the places where a lot of people, or say EAPs, MIPs, kind of miss the mark, and as you pointed out, it's probably by design, is to actually make the members aware that they're there, and also make it easy for them to get the help that they need when they need it, because it's usually a pretty stressful situation when they, and it's not probably the first thing that's going to come to mind. It's like, oh yes, HR told me at open enrollment, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? What do you guys do to overcome that?
So George, that's a great point. And again, you are correct. I personally believe that a lot of EAPs are structured to make the most money by steering you away from the most expensive pieces and by keeping it hidden, right? And at Mazzitti and Sullivan EAP, and through this plan with MPB, we started off very aggressive with many orientations, many video orientations. That's why even at this landing page where there's resources and those members who are part of this, the very first thing they're going to see is this 7-minute video, which gives a summary of the entire benefit to them and their household. So oftentimes, and again, I'm a marketer. I've been in marketing for over a decade, about the time where you're getting tired of that message, everybody else is just finally getting it, right? So I came from a background, radio, television ads. It's radio is, let's just call it what it is. It's legalized mind control. You put something out there 5 times a day, people are going to start whistling that tune. They're going to remember that ad. And that's why we remember those ads that are out there, whether it's a Geico commercial and that gecko or whatever, those things over the time, it's a psychological tool. So we take that same concept, if you will, and we're regularly communicating with that HR person. Case in point, one of our larger clients is over 25,000 lives. We are communicating with them directly with every HR person at every remote location. So it's not just that one communication with the overall person at H&R, it's at every single location, because we believe that regular message on a drip campaign, if you will, but we're customizing it, personalizing it with that person, staying ahead of the audience. And that's why we do trainings. That's why I personally do trainings for MPB. That's why they include those trainings to their members and they have them available to them as individuals. The more times you are in front of an audience, the more it's going to stick. So it's not just that card you may get as an EAP member, it's that regular routine maintenance of getting that same message out there that reminds people. If I broke my arm, I would know I need to go to the doctor, but nobody plans a mental health challenging situation. So speaking to it regularly, talking about different pain points can go a long way to break through those barriers so that when an issue comes, it's used. Is that helpful?
Yes, thanks.
John, I like to take it to the participants in today's Zoom about self-care, which you mentioned right after your admittance that you were human and had suffered burnout like a lot of us. With the counseling comes, I think, personal responsibility to use the benefits and, make it a habit to practice. And I'd invite folks to unmute themselves and share their story about how they rose above their life challenge. And I'll start, when I was a lobbyist in DC, in the 90s, I was a congressional staffer, then a lobbyist, and I was still, having a good time like I did in college. And I basically had to grow up, and I went to a coach counselor type person. And it wasn't so much, your stereotypical movie scene where you lie down with a psychiatrist. They're really just coaches trying to help you get organized in what you're doing already. And so they make it easy, and they help you get onto your path so that you have that sense of connection and no longer that loneliness that makes a lot of sense as a cause of a lot of disease. And, my habit is Kundalini yoga. Yoga itself is known by a lot of folks. There's different styles, different schools. So that's what I practice every day. Every morning, it's a good workout, and I finish it with a good meditation. I teach it. I got certified in it. So that's my lesson. If I do it every morning, I'm very neutral and calm and focused, and I can basically respond to any kind of conflict. And when you're surrounded by folks who are borderline psychos in certain respects, I think we know that politics does attract a lot of psychopaths who love the power. Lord Acton did say power corrupts. It helps to have that centering habit, because it's not something you can do like in a course and expect to be fixed. It's a lifelong habit. You have to make part of yourself. That's my lesson. John, you don't respond, and I'm sure Jim has comments on that. You're muted, John.
Yeah, so that when it comes to our wellness, I mean, we're not just talking about exercise, which erroneously before was what I thought about. I just thought about exercise and my diet, which do play a part. So what I had to learn, and I won't take the full time to explain it all, just give the bullets here. I had to learn that my well-being was dependent on all of the aspects of my wellness wheel and investing on a regular basis. So that means for me, I work out every single day. I go to the gym, I watch my diet. I am on a mostly keto diet. I also have Lyme disease, which I won't go into where that actually came from now. That could be a conversation for another time. But having to navigate that, but mindfulness, taking time to reflect. I do that every single day. I do box breathing. It's amazing what the power of deep breathing exercises can do, and focusing on that and getting to that level place, that base point that you referred to, Charles, before I even start the rest of my day. So again, the biggest part for everyone on this call, or for those who will be watching it later, is coming to grips with self-care is not selfish. It's taking care of you first, because we can't draw from a shallow well.
Jim, you want to comment? And I'm sure you got some suggestions from your life.
Yeah, I mean, John, I think business for you will only go up. That's to me, I mean, the whole, and the reason for the pavilion I'm working on, my enterprise, is that everything is, I mean, wrong. Basically, our whole approach to health is wrong. The science and the conventional medicine is wrong. Our society is like, half of it is lies. No wonder everybody's screwed up. I mean, really, our families are dysfunctional. We can go on and on. They're great at teaching math. They don't teach us how to be parents. They don't teach us how to manage money, right? All the basics, they somehow they just forgot about, to keep us confused and sick and getting sicker, to control us, if you will. So yeah, I think definitely the mental health area is only going to grow. And I'm not sure, I think obviously we need a different approach. You go back to the traditional Chinese medicine, for example, or Ayurveda, where you went to the practitioner, the doctor, maybe the witch doctor, I don't know. And they helped keep you healthy. It was a health focus, not a disease focus. So, you could check your balance, how's your relationship, are you sleeping, your wife, whatever it is. But now it's like, wait till like, God, I feel crappy, or I'm getting like palpitations. Let me call somebody. and it's too late. You know, you've had these things started 2 years ago. So, I mean, I'd like to see you guys, everybody, start working on a program where you've got, whether it's, I do biofeedback, but basically dealing with these stressors, like systems could be traditional, acupuncture, et cetera, that can identify before you have symptoms being expressed physically, what's going on, and work with somebody. And it's a regular thing, but in the meantime, we all do our parts, I suppose. But yeah, maybe with MPB, there could be things in there that start to educate people to take care of themselves before you feel like crap, and something happens. And yeah, exercise, diet, absolutely. I had a client just come in who exercised, ate right. I mean, every box was checked, didn't drink, smoke, do drugs, anything. I was laughing with her husband. I said, she must be pretty boring. No, but I said, is there any stress in her life? In your wife's life, what's going on? He goes, oh my God, she worries about everything. And, that's what we want to get rid of. There's no reason to be like that, high stress, worrying about everything. And certainly I know my ex was like that, so I'm familiar with that. And it's a self-harming, it eventually gets to you, and then you're in trouble. So yeah, thank you.
Linda?
I have a comment. Our brain has some cells called mirror cells. And those cells are for socialization, number one. And number two is education, like we learn. And education means make new synapses in our brain. So, and those mirror cells, which are neurons in our brain, are activated only by human-to-human interactions, face-to-face, one-to-one, or in group. They are not activated by looking at an animal or a screen or PDF file or Zoom or online education or anything else like this. So imagine all our education on every topic now is done online, no contact. So no education, no learning, no new synapses. So how to deal with all those things?
Linda, do the
Okay.
synapses grow when you're reading a book? Because that's kind of direct contact.
No, that's different. No. The synapses for socialization and education are human contact, one-to-one. I have many articles. If you Google, not Google, sorry for the term. If you put in the site mirror cells, or I have plenty of information on that, you will see that the real education, that means new synapses which will stay forever. Because you read a book, but then you forget. But when you learn something through education, like training new synapses formation, then you have for life.
No wonder I forget all those incredible classics that I have on my bookshelf.
That's normal.
I've got an awesome collection, but I do have to go back and look for segments to see what exactly did they say.
That's normal.
Interesting.
Linda's a doctor and a powerful one, so we appreciate having her to have these tidbits. That's the beauty of this.
I am a neuroscientist also.
Yeah.
And teacher for 45 years.
Yeah.
At university.
Well, I would hope we would learn from these weekly Zooms, but maybe we'll have to do an in-person meeting, Jim, at some point.
Sounds good.
And with that, John, we've come to the hour. So if you wanted to leave folks with your takeaway comments and website where folks can reach you, go ahead.
Again, thank you for having me, Charles, and for everyone on this call. I really appreciate the opportunity. Self-care is not selfish, friends. So taking care of yourself, taking the responsibility can go a long way, and it's a starting point to being a better you. You can follow me on LinkedIn. I encourage you to do so. I love inspiring my followers and encouraging them with challenges in business and life. It's at John Troutman there. I am the National Director of Marketing at Mazzitti and Sullivan EAP Services. You can find us at mseap.com, and we are the provider for MPB Health.
So what about your wealth? If your money could actually talk to you, would you listen to it? Well, with the DNA Network Academy, your money actually can talk to you, and it's going to tell you just what it told this client. This family had over 24 debts, mortgages, car loans, the works. They were on track to take 20 years to pay it all off and instead did it in 8.5. Plus, they did it without refinancing, making more money, or even changing their lifestyle. So find out for yourself with a free analysis that is completely confidential. No personal information, no social security numbers, no credit checks, none of that nonsense. But what is exciting is that the outcome of that report you receive is a guaranteed outcome for you. To get that report, head on over to bit.ly/debt to wealth. You will arrive at this simple form. Fill it in as simple as lender number 1 and credit card number 2. What really matters is the accuracy of your numbers. You'll be able to see that if instead of 20 years or whatever your number is, that you may actually be out of debt and on your way to wealth in as little as 6.3 years like this client.